I've just gone live on my end as well. 19 drivers apparently going to make it tonight. Which shouldn't be too bad. Still expecting my core comms to arrive. Hope he arrives soon. I can tell him about the hot lap. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Was that for TNRL by any chance? Yeah. Wow. Jeez. That's like up there with PSGL's prize pool that they're having for next season. One event, wow. I wanna participate in that just so I can win and make money. Yeah. Evening, Luke. Yeah. How you doing, Luke? Not bad, yeah, not bad at all. Just talking about how everything's going to go well tonight, and we've got a new hot lap we can run through as well. Really interesting. I'm already up on my end as well, so that's all been sorted. Oh yeah, I need to send you the link, don't I? You're gonna be... where's my channel? Right, hang on. Cheers. Oh, cannot wait for this. Could be quite good. Whoever starts 11th is winning the race. Confidence already.
He's on mediums in the top 10.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's quite a high tyre wear circuit. It's something like 5% a lap, I think.
Yeah. Last comms I did around China, the guy who started on pole won because there was a late safety car. Someone came up from 16th to second, and he was catching up about a second a lap before the safety car, but just couldn't switch the tyres on as easy afterwards.
Yeah. Wow.
It's not the easiest place to pass once DRS isn't around, and they only had DRS for one extra lap, so the guy in front could just save all his ERS and then blow it all on the straight.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few good overtaking opportunities, but I don't think there's going to be that many overtakes, because if people get stuck in that DRS train running down the straights especially, there's no real chance, except from the driver behind the one who hasn't got the DRS, to overtake.
Yeah.
It's one of those nights, I think. It's one of those nights. And I think we've got 19 drivers. I mean, I haven't got the invites yet to the lobby.
Oh, neither have I. I wasn't expected to get them, but you know.
I know. I think it's Wesker that's lobby host. Yeah. If I'm pretty sure.
Is lobby up yet?
Do. I mean, he said send a friend request. I've already got him on my friends, so it's all fine.
Same. I've got him from F2, so.
Yeah. Should be quite good. I mean, last week was just the most hellish race possible. We had M Short win on penalties. Basically, he won. Coginio was second, and Medium Pilot finished third, I think. and it completely flipped around. Oh, it was Neil, sorry, that finished third, not Medium Pilot, so you can forgive me with that. I think Medium Pilot finished like 5th in the end, or 6th.
Judging by the standings, anyway.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the driver's standings. I completely forgot about that.
It's easy. It's easy on race 1 of the season to work out who finished where, because it's the order of the championship.
I just have the driver's standings to the right-hand side of me, and I'm thinking to myself, well, where the hell's that data sheet that Tom has? Oh, goodness me. I'm not with her today, honestly. But it should be good, nonetheless. The invites are coming in now. Have you got an invite? No. They forgot about you. Right, I shall send away. There we are. Just see when Tom's ready to go. I don't think he's tuned into my channel just yet. But I do believe the stream is live. Yes, it is. He's just started it up there. And then we've got... Yeah, so China, and then it's Spain after tonight.
Oh, God. Everyone's going to
no.
love... I mean, it says Australia at the moment on here. So.
It's definitely not Australia. If anybody is tuning into my stream, it's not Australia, it is China. We've just masqueraded it for Australia, I think. Oh, Barcelona's president's resigned.
Yeah, so whether that's to appease the true president of Barcelona, Mr. Messi.
Yeah, Mr. Messi's still there. Oh, and Tom has said good to go.
Okay, right, on your word then.
Fantastic. Good luck, everyone. Good luck, Tom, there doing the graphics. And without further ado, 10 seconds, which is technically 65 seconds, but 10 seconds. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to TTML Division 1. We are here tonight for the Chinese Grand Prix, not the Australian Grand Prix as you don't see on your screens currently. But, of course, my name is James Head, going to be taking you through the stream here for the Chinese Grand Prix. And, as you can tell, Kieran McGinley is not alongside me in the commentary box tonight, but we have got a super reserve commentator in his place. Good evening to Luke Etheridge. Luke, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thanks. Happy to be playing the Nico Hulkenberg role tonight of subbing in quite late on. Thankfully, though, not for coronavirus reasons. Kieran is not ill. He's just got other arrangements tonight. Should hopefully be a decent race. China's one of them where, in real life, the races are never that great. But I always feel on the F1 game they're pretty interesting. Especially because, as we mentioned before the stream started, that alternate strategy is really powerful around here. Could be a very interesting qualifying session. Some drivers might try to get through to the top 10 on a set of the mediums, which is not something you see too often in a short qualifying session.
Yeah, it's going to be quite fascinating, I think, and we were speaking as well about the inevitability of a DRS train and not many overtakes getting done, but always on this F1 game, China seems to be one of those tracks that the drivers hate, but the viewers love, and that's what we hope to bring to you into your living rooms or into your bedrooms here tonight. what we can do is try out something new, and this is the first time I'm doing this as well, so don't blame me if it all goes absolutely pear-shaped. We are going to run you through a hot lap around here at China, and this has been done by TTG_May, so I'm sure that video will be coming up around about now. And we are, of course, here at China, 15 corners await the drivers out on track. 12 races that Mace has completed in Division 5, 182 points in question, 4 podiums to his name, but those 0 wins to his name as well. He'll be hoping to try and retribute that, of course, on Friday night as we go to China for Division 5 then. Let's talk you through a lap then of the Chinese Grand Prix circuit, and now running up the hill up towards turn 1, he's in the Mercedes for this lap and comes through turn 1, and then the tricky turn 2, you're almost turning to the right hand side 180 degrees coming up the hill through turn 2 and then down slightly in towards turn 3. Really difficult on the brakes there, an off camber corner as well, throwing you out wide through turn 4 and then on the run down towards turn 5, and Mays will be hoping to set a good first sector here, looking like a very quick and clean first sector. Catches the curb nicely coming through turn 6 and then on the run up towards turn 7 and 8, which is the left-hander and the right-hander, of course, as we go around halfway through the lap here in China. He takes the right-hander now coming through turn 8 and then through the double left at turns 9 and 10. Very difficult to get right, especially through turn 10. If you ride too much on the curb, you will send the car spinning, and Mays will be hoping not to do that in Division 5 on Friday. Through the middle sector, halfway through the lap now, nearly 3/4 of the way through the lap as he comes through the 180-degree right-hander through turn 11 and then on the run down towards the formidable turn 12 out on track, or turn 13 I should say, out on track. I'm miscounting as we go along. Opens up the second DRS zone down the straight, in excess of 200 mile an hour he can reach on this 1 kilometre straight, and now runs down heavy braking zone around the 100-metre board just after to brake into the corner through 14 and then in towards turn 15, which will be the final corner out on track, and one of those corners you don't want to get wrong in qualifying because it will send you into an invalid lap. But that was a lap of the Chinese Grand Prix circuit by Mays, and I'll be hoping to have a very good performance, as I say, on Friday night. And that wasn't a bad lap, I don't think.
No, it kept it nice and clean, fairly smooth, which I feel is always something you need to do around here, especially in that middle sector. If you're on worn tyres, those fast left and right handers, turns 7 and 8, can really take it out of the tyres once they've got a bit worn. So that's going to be fairly interesting to see how the drivers cope tonight. And of course, you've got to be careful on traction, especially coming out of turns 3, turn 6, obviously turn 14 as well. And I think that's one of the reasons why the drivers don't like this track. It's one of those where you need to be a bit careful with your setup. You can't just chuck loads of downforce on to have a fantastic middle sector, because then you're going to be a sitting duck on the straight. Likewise, if you trim it off, you're going to be so fine on the straights, but you'll be sliding through all the corners, just wearing your tyres out.
Yeah, you don't want to be doing that, and especially because it is a high degradation circuit. Not sure if Wesker is here at his console currently, but you can't see this on the stream. We are still within an Australian Grand Prix lobby still. So hopefully that'll be changed in the next couple of minutes or so. What we can do though, before we begin, and there was 19 drivers due, there's only 12 currently within the lobby. What we can do though is run you through what happened last week in Bahrain. M Short took the win, Caginio second and Neo in third. A real hammer blow to Medium Pilot's chances of getting the first win of the season. He actually crossed the line in first, but dropped down because of penalties, finishing in 5th in the end. And M Short does take the lead in the championship on 30 points, followed by Caginio in second on 25. One of his best results in TTML, Caginio. Neo in third on 20 points, with Killer Blue in 4th on 18. Medium Pilot all the way down there in 5th on 17 points. The extra 2 points coming from his pole sitter, from his pole lap, gets the extra 2 points, of course. Vaki in 6th on 14 points, reserve driver. Perpetum in 7th on 13 points, with Bianchi in 8th on 12, and Imad and Twitch Lemon tied in for 9th on 11 points. Ver Quicksilver is in 11th on 9. We've got Rostro in 12th on 8. Quickly became the fans' favourite last week, and I hope all of his fan club is in the comment section as well. And Nicholas Vett in 13th on 7. Yoram, Recon, Chapelelli, Venom, Wesker, Mr. Simp and Legend not scoring any points, and we're really only one round into the season. But M Short, from his rise, his meteoric rise from Division 2 up to Division 1, currently setting the pace in the driver standings.
Yeah, maybe, I don't like saying this all the time, maybe just a bit of momentum coming in good form always makes you feel, well, he'll be fairly happy with how he did, I think. Obviously, you can't do much better. Can't do much better than when it all went well. Obviously, you've got all the fast guys that we've always got. Medium pilot penalties costing him last time around. Could pick up a few around here as well, but I wouldn't expect to see too many parts. Final corner's quite difficult. You can easily cut too much on the inside and then run wide on the outside. And if there's a late safety car, we will be in that situation again where whoever's kept it the cleanest will probably end up taking the victory.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating out on track. To run you through the constructor standings as well, McLaren do lead on 48 points, with Red Bull in second on 36, Racing Point in third on 32, AlphaTauri in fourth on 21, Mercedes all the way down in fifth on 17 points, with Haas in sixth on 11, Williams in seventh on 7, and Renault, Ferrari and Alfa Romeo currently have 0 points, and they are tied for eighth, of course, on those 0 points out on track. And McLaren really getting some momentum up in the first round. M Short obviously taking the win, and the other driver for McLaren, of course, being Killablu, finishing fourth. Killablu not here tonight. I think he's getting his space reserved possibly by one of the drivers. But it's going to be fascinating, I think, to see how these guys get on, especially at a track like China, where we've already talked about the hate, I think, for this track among the drivers. But actually, when it comes to it, when we commentate around here, it's not a bad track to commentate at all. So it's going to be fascinating on that point. And to run you through as well some of the up-and-coming events that are going to be taking place, of course, here. Esports Mini League happens tomorrow night. It's Esports Masters League, as it's now known. That's going to be happening tomorrow night, where we could be reunited once again if Mr. McGinley is stuck in traffic. But if not, it is going to be myself and Kieran taking you through the 8:30 action, and at 7 o'clock, it's going to be Aiden and Dakar, I do believe, tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe I'll get a chance to join you. We'll have to wait and see how that goes. Just going back to what you said about this track, I enjoy driving around here. I'm a strange person in that way. I seem to like the tracks that others hate, and they also say as well that it's a bit of a pad OP track, and I use the wheel around here and don't mind it too much. Whether that's just because everyone else hates it so much that they don't practice, and my lack of practice becomes the norm, I don't quite know, if I'm being honest with you. But yeah, hopefully, like you said, we'll get some good racing tonight, and hopefully we'll see some great racing across all the divisions and the Masters League tomorrow.
Yeah, Masters League tomorrow, of course, happening, I believe, at Zandvoort, if I'm not mistaken. So that's going to be fascinating out on track. And we are about to get underway. There's been a slight delay because of the drivers not attending. There's 4 drivers that are meant to be turning up, not racing here tonight. But looking at our screen, certainly, it's Papetan Vaki, Vreska, Chaparral Neo, Twitch Lemon, I'm a D, Kagino Yar and Venom, Carl's BM Short, Legend, Quicksilver, and Medium Pilot. Those are the 15 that are going to be racing here tonight. If anybody does join, of course, late, they will get a chance to set their lap in qualifying. Rostro apparently has not got an invite just yet, so the fans' favourite from last week in Bahrain has not got an invite just yet, but hopefully we can get that one out to him in just a second. Looking at the comment section as well, plenty of comments for Rostro. They want to see the fans' favourite. Let's hope they can get in. And Jake as well, who I think is part of XL, supporting for M Short and Neo. Maze as well commenting about his lap. Apparently he's a 110 flat around here, which in my imagination is quite quick for a track like China, even though it's like a sub 130 track.
Yeah, maybe if we were on Gran Turismo and we had the Red Bull X cars, you might be able to do a 1 minute 10 around here, but somehow I get a funny feeling there's a bit of a fib in there from Maze, to be honest. If he is doing a 1 minute 10, he needs to get himself in this lobby now and show us how it's done.
The challenge has been hopefully accepted there by Maze. You might see him pop up at some point within this race. Of course, he is a Division 5 driver. And honestly, if we were setting 110s around here, you would need a car like the Tomahawk on GT Sport, honestly, to set a 110 around here. But you never know. That Mercedes might have been masquerading itself in as a Tomahawk out on track. Bianchi and Rostro, by the way, have just joined the lobby, so they are going to be racing as well, which means we're up to 17 drivers now for the race here. We're starting just that little bit late, but hopefully you guys are in the best company of myself and Luke Etheridge, going to be taking you through the action, of course. And we'll have a look at the calendar as well, because not only do we go from China? We go to Spain, which I think is one of those tracks, again, it's a bit like Marmite. People hate it, but I love it when I commentate around there.
Again, I don't mind driving around Spain. I used to hate it for whatever reason, but this time I don't mind it too much. Yeah, can always be a bit tricky with the weather. It's always got that reputation of being a bit hard to follow, and I think in real life it's the fact that all the drivers and all the teams are so used to being around there. They've all got their cars optimised for qualifying and the race, and that's why you don't see much action too much in real life around there. But yeah, definitely like you said, one of the tracks I enjoy, and there are some really good tracks coming up this season. Obviously, you know, a lot of the tracks on the F1 calendar, there's a few shockers, I have to admit, but there should be some really good races. Baku, in real life, it's either massive hit or massive miss. That's coming up after Spain. France, less said about that in real life, the better. But the end of the season, you've got some fantastic races. Belgium, always full of action, of course. Japan, Mexico. Singapore's always tricky with tyres and the weather as well. And finishing at the now traditional finale of Abu Dhabi, of course.
Yeah, completely different calendar to last season, but without further ado, let us get started. Let us get straight into qualifying. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to TTML Division 1. We are here for round 2, of course, at the Shanghai International Circuit for the Chinese Grand Prix. A track not held within real life here in 2020. Times have changed quite badly, but we are here, of course, to take you through the action. Myself and Luke Etheridge, who are going to be taking you through the action out on track here tonight. Let us have a look then at the track in question. This fearsome Shanghai International Circuit. 16 turns, with the drivers out on track with 5.4 kilometre race distance. 2 DRS zones with one down the start-finish straight and one down the straight down towards turn 14 as well. Quite an undulating track slightly. It's relatively flat, but especially on the uphill run into turn 2, the tight right-hander, it will really affect the drivers out on track. And it looks like we're going to get straight into qualifying here. And it's going to be a fascinating night of action, I think. We are seeing the first drivers just leaving the pit lane out on track. And I think Chapelelli is the first out on track.
Yeah, Chapelelli not scoring any points so far this season. I am interested to see that everyone's actually gone out on the soft tyres straight away. Now, whether this means we're going to see some rain in the race, I don't know. We have seen rain quite a lot around here. Famously, 2007, Lewis Hamilton's chances of a first World Championship going up in smoke and, well, going up in the gravel track, which no longer exists, thankfully, for these drivers on the way into the pit lane. 2009, Sebastian Vettel getting his first win around here. 2010, Button and Hamilton with a 1-2 for McLaren. It can rain quite a lot around here. I wonder if that's happening tonight, or whether all the drivers are just thinking, you know what, we want this pole position, because of course there are bonus points associated with that.
Yep, 2 pole position points are available. One, of course, for the fastest lap within the race as well. Yasin has joined. Not sure if he is a reserve for Division 1. If not, he is a driver that hasn't been invited into the lobby. But Chapelelli now coming through the final couple of corners out on track to prepare for his lap nonetheless. And we'll focus on 2 drivers in particular as we go through the session as well. Those, of course, being Perpetum and indeed Cagino. We'll go on board with them in just a second. But Chapelelli on the run down in towards turn 14. Let me take you through a lap then of this fearsome Shanghai International Circuit. 5.4 kilometres in length, and you're going to see this hopefully on board with a valid lap on board with F1 Chapelelli as he now comes round the final corner at turn 16. Beautifully done through turn 16, and now runs down the straight up the hill in towards turn 1 and already reaches 200 mile an hour out on track, reaching 200 mile an hour now, up to 4th gear, down to 3rd, and then possibly down to 2nd as he tries to maximise the run coming through turn 2, now through turn 3, and Chapelelli not looking too bad so far through the first sector. Through turn 4, a little bit of a squirm on there, but now runs in towards the first sector split. Expected around a 24, or 23.6 actually from Chapelelli as he now comes through turn 6 and then through the left-hander at 7 and 8. Yellow flags in sector 3, don't worry about that. That's a Mercedes of medium pilot, I think, that's preparing up for a lap. But Chapelelli now coming through the middle sector, absolutely flying through the left-hander of 7 and 8, and now through the left-handers again of 9 and 10. I think I said the left and right of 7 and 8, I hope, not the left and left. But anyways, into the middle sector, 50.3 from Chapelelli coming through the middle sector. And not looking too bad around here, as he now comes through turn 12 and 13, really tightening on the apex. You don't want to run too tight to the apex because it can fling you out right on the camber of the corner. Now we run down the long 1 kilometre straight, opening up that second DRS zone on board the Schiaparelli. Quite a long lap around here in China, so the guys have got to be careful to get their laps in early, I think. Schiaparelli now through 10-14, braking very hard into the apex there. Now through 15, the kink, and then through 16 out on track. Not looking bad here from Schiaparelli as he rounds the final corner. Doesn't want to ride too wide because he'll pick up an invalid lap. Across the line, 29.3 to begin us off.
Yeah, not a bad lap. I think there's definitely time to be improved. Obviously, you want to set a banker early on. I think he hit the curb a bit too much on the inside, maybe going into turn 11. He definitely seemed to lose a bit of momentum, but don't think that cost him too much into turn 12. Yeah, very decent lap, very respectable one from him so far. And let's see what Coutinho can do then. He's in the Red Bull, of course, and managed to get his best result so far at TTML. With second place last time out, can he go one better here and get a victory? He's definitely a very quick driver.
He is a very quick driver. We'll ride on board with the first sector on board with him, but I'm conscious that medium pilot is 3/10 up coming through this middle sector on Schiaparelli, so I'll cut quickly to medium pilot to catch the end of his lap through the final corner to the line. It's already going to be a 28.7. How about that for Schiaparelli to try and respond? Medium pilot out on top. We'll go back on board with Coutinho then, 23.5 through the first sector, and the German picking up his best result of the season last time out. P2, and that was last achieved, of course, in Bahrain for Season 2, Round 1. And 50.2 through the middle sectors, only 2/10 off medium pilot. Neo, by the way, has gone second. The German, the 1:29.2, he's still 4.5 tenths off medium pilot's time. Coutinho now through turn 13, running down the straight. Can pick up a bit of faint slipstream, actually. There is a Alfa Romeo, I think, just ahead of him, of Schiaparelli, as he now comes down the straight, reaching in excess of 200 mile an hour. 205 now flattens out as Ahmadi and Schiaparelli get in the way. I think Ahmadi was preparing up for an outlap, if I'm not mistaken, and Schiaparelli trying to go around the outside, and a little bit of blocking going on there, but Coutinho now around the final corner. I think he'll go second with this lap across the line. He goes fourth, in fact, 29.3, but another lap, not a bad lap. He's there or thereabouts.
Yeah, he is there or thereabouts. I wonder if Dee and Schiaparelli were just both about to head into the pits. I'm not sure whether either of them were setting up to go for another lap, but unfortunately for them, it has gone badly wrong, and it looks like the only person who's on who's on a hot lap at the moment, going slightly out of sequence compared to everyone else, maybe just giving himself a bit of free air, is Perpetuum Mobile in the AlphaTauri.
Yeah, Perpetuum, another driver, of course, that we'll focus on. He's had 10 race starts. His first race, of course, being in Season 1 in Australia, here in TTML. And now he'll be hoping to try and get up there with the likes of Medium Pilot and with the likes of Neo through the final corner. That is how to take the final corner. And as soon as I say that, he invalidates. 29.3 it would have been, and it would have put him fourth out on track. It's not a TTML Division 1 stream without a James Head commentator's curse, is it?
I'm sure I'll be joining you with some commentators' curses. I seem to be quite specialised in them. A few times you get Yasin just getting out of the way now of some of the other cars that are coming out on an outlap, but that time from medium pilot at the moment, 1:28.778, nearly half a second ahead of everyone else. If he can carry on that pace in the race without destroying these soft tyres, it could be a very long evening for a few of these guys. He'll be hoping, obviously, to get 1 second ahead of everyone after 2 laps, because DRS, very effective around here with 2 DRS zones, and that does mean you do see a lot of DRS trains. So once again, strategy, quite important. Drivers might go for the undercut if they're just stuck at the back of a train.
Yeah, on board with URL Yasin. I've been informed, by the way, with Dan on Discord. He's a reserve. He is a reserve here tonight. He'll be signing up after the race. So Yasin is in. It's not like the scenario we had in Division 5 Italy last season, where somebody got invited into the lobby and wasn't in the league, and we had to rerun the race at the end of the season. But Yasin, hopefully he'll be providing a good result out on track. I think Rostro has just started a lap out on track as well. Perpetuum is on another one, but he's invalid. 52 flat through the middle sector. Don't really see anybody on a lap, I don't think.
No, we've got a few drivers like just seem to be. Rostro, probably the only one at the moment. 23.8 in Sector 1. Bianchi, he's just started a lap as well. Yasin looks as though he's warming up to one, but he was very close to running wide through the final corner there. And that's the big problem with qualifying here. It's probably the easiest corner to invalidate, is that final corner. And you invalidate through there, your next lap is ruined as well. So really, if you do that, on your out lap, that's pretty much your qualifying run done, as Rostro just goes slightly wide, slightly over the curb at turn 10. And unlike real life F1, on this it is 4 wheels over the white line at pretty much every single circuit, and that is lap invalidated. So he'll have, if he saved a bit of fuel, he'll have another chance to go again, but 9 minutes to go. You'd ideally like to have a time set before this stage of qualifying.
Yeah, I think Rostro might put himself into the pit lane possibly and try and go for a second lap. He is out of sequence compared to the other guys out on track. I think Quicksilver's just started a lap as well. We're going board with Bianchi in just a second. Venom is still out the pit lane as well. Perpetum's still yet to come back out as well. And Rostro, perfectly on cue, is into the pit lane. Of course, the gravel has been removed there. Remember, 2007, Lewis Hamilton getting stuck in the gravel. That is something that nobody wants to try and feed. Bianchi, though, through the middle sector, 50.2, now through turn 14 and then through the kink at 15 as well. Taking a very thin line, if I've got to be honest. Trying to save as much time as possible for the Italian now through the final corner. Very nice out the final corner. Runs out of ERS, but to the line, he goes 5th. Just in behind Gaginio's 500ths off, and again, another one that's there or thereabouts.
Yeah, not a bad lap. There seems to be quite a few drivers in that 129.3, 129.4 range. Chapelele, Coutinho, Bianchi, a 10th between them. There's definitely time, though, for Chapelele and those others to improve because they set it earlier. Track evolution will come to play. I do feel, especially with Chapelele, there was definitely a few corners where he could have improved. He wasn't able to do so, though, last time around, and he's, at the moment, 700ths down on his personal best, so he's going to have a mighty final sector here if he wants to possibly get up onto the front row of the grid.
Yeah, we're on board with him now, running through that second DRS zone, running down the straight. 206 mile an hour, just reaching 207 into the braking zone, just braking at the 100 metre board, turns the car in very nicely, quick upshifts up to 3rd gear, and then up again, quick upshifts up to 7th, down into 5th, and then through the final corner, and that's a invalid lap, sadly, and it would have put him, 1400ths of a second improvement, but in behind, Twitch Lemon has just gone 2nd with a 28.8.
There's definitely time to be found on this track, and Twitch Lemon has just proved that. Fantastic lap. First person to get close to medium Pilot. Although I feel after this lap he won't be as close. Pilot nearly 2 tenths up as he comes through that long banked right-hander onto the straight here. DRS open, no cars ahead of him, so he doesn't have to worry about any traffic and maybe cars getting in the way of each other. We've already seen that happen earlier on with Chapelele and D getting himself a 5-place grid penalty for that. So at the moment that would put him at the back of the grid, and as long as Pilot keeps it clean through the final corner, he just about manages to do that. That was marginal. That's how you got to do it though. 128.572, 2 tenths faster than his previous best, consolidates that pole position.
Yeah, Wesker goes 5th just in behind him as well. We've got a Racing Point out on track, which I believe will be Neo on a lap as well. He's actually coming into the pit lane. The Hassan behind him is Amadi. He's also coming into the pit lane. We've got a Red Bull of Twitch Lemon through the final sector. We've got Coutinho on a lap as well. Coutinho straight into the pit lane as well. And with nearly 2/3 of qualifying gone, Medium Pilot on top, Twitch Lemon in 2nd. And to be honest, it's a call of best of the rest, I think, in terms of Neo, Chapelele downwards. And Yoram and M Short, by the way, have set the same lap time as well.
Yeah, very good for them. It's interesting, like, a few drivers didn't really seem to improve too much on the second runs there. Chapelele, Neo and Coutinho coming to mind as not really finding loads of time at the moment. Perpetuum's on his second run at the moment. His teammate Rostro as well. He's just started his lap. So it's interesting that both of these Alpha Tauris are trying to get a bit of free air and just going at a different time to everyone else. It can definitely work out as long as they don't get held up, but they leave themselves out of sequence and make any mistakes, it could make it very hard for them. I'd expect Mobile just to be a bit more careful through the final corner than he was last time. He has done that, heads towards the finish line. What's it going to be? 3rd position. Very good considering he actually ran out of ERS there towards the end of that lap.
Yeah, 29 flat goes 3rd. There's another driver that has just joined the lobby as well, with the name of Vienna, I think it was. Now, I've had a look on the roster. He is not a part of Division 1 in terms of full-time driver or as a reserve, looking at the roster. That might need updating if he is a reserve, but hopefully Dan can fill me in on that on Discord. We don't want to get in another scenario where we have Division 5 Italy last season. Cosbury, I think, is on a lap currently. The Finn down in 12th position, 130.2. Inevitably, you can find a lot of time, I think, on this lap time. And Cosbury, I believe, is another driver that you commentate on the AOR.
I might have done at some point. I've been around for a while in AOR now. It always amazes me when commentators remember the races. Normally, about 5 minutes after it's happened, I'm like, what was that? I'm living the moment. Live in the moment is what I'm doing. That's what these drivers have got to do at the moment. And Carlsberry making sure he gets a bit of a slipstream there off of Yassin. You can't blame him for trying. DRS Open, he's down in 13th at the moment. Quicksilver in that 11th place that I feel could be a very useful 11th place if we get a dry race. It does look like Carlsberry is going to improve, but probably not enough to move himself up position-wise. Might just sneak into the 1 minute 29s with this lap time. Indeed he does. 1:29.747, just a thousandth behind Rostro.
Yeah, 1,000th of a second behind Rostro. That is the difference between P12 and P13 out on track. We've got Yassin just starting up on a lap as well. Yet to set a lap time. He's in the McLaren, of course, with less than 4 minutes to go. Medium Powder on top. Twitch Lemon and Perpetum second and third. Neo fourth. Schiaparelli fifth. Wesker sixth. Yoram seventh. And M Short, who won last time out in Bahrain, is in 8th position. Now, I've just seen Yassin come through the first sector. I think he's having some mad hacks out on track, to be honest. That was like an 18.7 first sector from him. But I think that's the problem. Where you join a lobby late, it glitches the driver.
Yeah, definitely, because he's 30 seconds at the moment through turns 9 and 10, and I swear he was 30 seconds when I first started going on board with him. But we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, 23 seconds in the middle sector as well, which I think probably makes more sense for his first sector time. Hopefully it all evens itself up, but you never quite know with Codemasters, if I'm being perfectly honest. Most of the drivers, though, will now be getting ready for their final runs of the session. Who will be able to find some improvement? Schiaparelli looked good early on. Coutinho's just coming out on to start another lap as well. The top 8 drivers, though, all in the pits at the moment, all feeling pretty relaxed, but we've already seen some big improvements, so I'm not sure Medium Pilot will be feeling fairly comfortable. If I was him, I'd definitely want to be out on track, though, just in case anyone else sets a faster time, and indeed the Mercedes has just left the pits.
Not sure what Yassin's time was, by the way, but I can tell you he was faster than Mazer's 1:10 flat that he set in that time trial lap. So Yassin, I don't know what time he's setting. I don't know where he is out on track. I think we've had a bit of a desync with him, but apparently he's going through the first sector and he's on a 1 minute 20 lap. That might have been an out lap, but I don't think it was. And he definitely was on a valid lap there. Vienna is through the final sector as well. I think he's just came out the pit lane. Run on board with anybody else that might be on a lap. Coutinho has invalidated through the middle sector. There's now coming down the straight. That's a Williams to the left-hand side of him, which I think is Quicksilver going on by. And Quicksilver actually is a one that is on a lap, so we'll watch on board with the Germany. He's a reserve, of course. 29.6, currently his personal best. Looking to improve ahead of Bianchi and Coutinho. You see all of the guys, the top 8 out on out laps for sure. As Quicksilver now comes through the final corners out on track, and across the line goes Quicksilver, and he goes 4th, 29 flat, and responds to Perpetum's time quite nicely there.
Yeah, very good improvement from him. Coutinho had invalidated. He'll be able to set another lap time. Amadi coming through the final corner. This should be a 1:29, and indeed it is nearly a 1:28. In fact, puts himself up into 5th. A lot of drivers finding some big improvements on these runs here as they're going around, so this could make it very interesting. Now 1 minute 15 to go in this session. Who's going to end up taking pole position? I'd be surprised if Quicksilver and D go for another lap time, but there's a lot of fast drivers where it really hasn't gone to form for them tonight. Coutinho currently in 11th place. Of course, we'd expect him to be higher up, and Schiaparelli looked very good on his first run, invalidated on his second one. Can he maybe find a way to get further up the grid? Because I think he's got a 1:28 in him tonight in the Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, we've got Coutinho on a lap as well, coming through the middle sector. He's 500th up is Coutinho, hoping to improve. Theoretically, currently, he'll be going ahead of Schiaparelli, so Schiaparelli will have to respond to Coutinho's lap time. But Coutinho now through the final sector, and now through turn 13 out on track. He's going to get fade and slipstream, I think, from a Mercedes out in front of him, which I lead to believe is Vienna, who is one of the drivers out on track. The Austrian gets out the way, and Coutinho now on the run down in towards turn 14 and 15. This double right-hander, very tricky to get right at the best of times. We've also got laps from Schiaparelli, as I say, but Cugino through the final corners. Varkey is retired from the session in the pit lane. And now Cugino across the line. He goes 8th, just in behind Schiaparelli. And Schiaparelli is 4/10 up within the middle sector. So he is responding big time to this lap. Let's see what he can do. Qualifying is over. Carlsbury, Venom and Vienna not getting their lap time set in. Neither is Yassin either. But Schiaparelli now down in towards the final couple of corners. Through 14 and then through 15. Cugino is done. Quicksilver is done as well. And Schiaparelli now through the final corner. As long as he doesn't invalidate through here, he is on for a really good lap time. He could challenge Medium Pilot, but there's across the line. Goes second. What's Twitch Lemon doing? He's on a lap. Medium Pilot is invalidated coming into the pit lane. Twitch Lemon then with 700ths of a second improvement. He needs to find a little bit more than that. He needs the godly final sector as possible. Papetum is also coming down towards the line as well. He is in the middle final sector. Oh, Twitch Lemon runs out wide. What lap time would have been? Well, he's invalidated. A second down in the end. 29.8. Neo on a lap, 2.5 tenths up, but Papetum is a 10th up as well. Let's see what Papetum can do. Now, round the final 2 corners, out on track, Twitch Lemon, 28.8. Papetum, I think, will improve ahead of that. Runs out the final corner, runs out of the ERS, across the line. He doesn't improve in the end. He doesn't improve his position. Neo was 2.5 tenths up. Can he improve up? Yes, goes 3rd. So Neo into 3rd. I think that's his qualifying over. Bianchi across the line goes 12th, remains as it is. But Medium Pilot out on top. Twitch Lemon in 2nd, and with Neo in 3rd.
Yeah, an absolutely fantastic one there from Medium Pilot. There was never really a point in that session where it looked like he wasn't going to be on pole position after that first run with a 1:28.8. It was only at the end where we saw Schiaparelli get faster than that. He's now 2nd on the grid. Neo 3rd, Twitch Lemon 4th, Perpetuum 5th, Quicksilver 6th, Yarvim in 7th, D 8th with the penalty, Short 9th, Cugino 10th. I'd watch out for some of these outside the top 10 though on that alternate strategy.
Yeah, Wesker, Bianchi, Rostro, Carlsbury, Varkey, Legend all getting in times. Yassin, Venom and Vienna not getting in any times there at all. The V's and the Y's down there at the back of the field. D, by the way, will start 13th. So M-Shot, Kikini, Wesker, Bianchi, Rostro go up a position as you see there on your graphic. Let's have a look then at the track map in question. And it is, of course, that 5.4 kilometre circuit that we've come to love and or hate. 5.4 kilometres and then 3.3 in miles, 152.6 race distance, and 28 laps awaiting these drivers out on track. Everyone going for the soft compound of tyre, and that is exactly the reason why everyone has gone for the soft compound of tyres, because it is absolutely teeming down, and it's full wet tyres as well.
Oh, this is going to be very interesting. That does explain, like I said, I was surprised no one went for the mediums, but of course, if you're not going to use them at the start of the race, there's absolutely no point. Will anyone start on the intermediates? Because one thing I've found from this game is sometimes the rain looks a lot heavier than it actually is. I've driven around in rain, which I thought was pretty heavy, and the game's still saying DRS enabled, and slick tyres are still doing a pretty decent job. So we'll have to see what the different drivers go for. This might also show, have any of the drivers gone for more of a wet setup? There's a few drivers that I would have expected to do better in that session. Legend being one of them in the Haas in the Haas car. I'd have expected to see him slightly further up the grid. He only set a 1:31 in qualifying, so I wonder if he's gone for a more aggressive wet setup, which if it stays like this, it'll be absolutely fine. If it dries up later in the race, he might start to struggle a bit more, but of course we're just predicting. We don't know what the weather is going to do. One thing it does mean, this is going to be a bit more treacherous for some of those drivers. A few of these corners, the traction zones are going to be absolutely terrible, coming out the hairpin, through turn 1 as well. You get a slight snap on the car, and you're going to be running way wide, and it's going to cost you quite a few positions.
It is going to cost quite a few positions, but I hope we can actually get into the race, because we are stuck on a loading screen currently. It looks as if one of the drivers might have to leave in order for us to get the session underway, and whoever that might be, do it now before you get an error message coming up on your screen, and then the game has to force you out yourself. But there's not really much we can say, to be honest. What we can do, though, hopefully we can get this graphic up for you, is remind you of the championship standings coming into tonight. M Short out on top on 30 points, Cagino second on 25, Neo in third on 20 points. And looking at the guys in that top 3 in the standings, they haven't really qualified that well. Neil, yeah, in third is the exception rather than the rule, but Emshort and Coquinho further down the field have got a lot to do to try and keep to their positions.
Yeah, definitely. They might find it pretty tough as well. We said there's definitely plenty of opportunities around here in the dry once you've got DRS. In the wet, it is going to be that main straight where you've got the power of that slipstream. Everywhere else, if you're running more downforce, there's more dirty air. So that, of course, makes it a bit harder to follow. You're not going to be as brave as braking late, as somehow it does seem like we've actually got a game going. We are going to head underway then. You can see it is actually intermediate tyre conditions then.
Yeah, intermediate conditions. I honestly thought it was full wet looking in the Mercedes garage. I thought it was full wet, but it's not. And what we can do is take you on board, of course, with the constructor standings as well. I'll get rid of all the UI for this so we can put you up on this constructors graphic, just to remind you as well. McLaren leading the way on 48 points, Red Bull in second on 36, Racing Point in third on 32 points, AlphaTauri fourth on 21, Mercedes in fifth on 17, Haas in sixth on 11, Williams in seventh on 7, Renault, Ferrari and Alfa Romeo are on the nil point, hoping to pick up their first point of the season as we come back on board with the UI, the beautiful UI and the track map and everything like that. Let us take a look then at the two drivers in question to look at a particular focus of, and that is Perpetum. 10 race starts, first race of course in Australia in season 1 round 1, starting 5th here tonight. How do you think he'll get on?
I think he could do a pretty decent performance tonight. He's had a fairly standard Bahrain Grand Prix. You always want to start off the season as well as possible, but you don't want to do anything stupid, and he didn't do that. Managed to pick up a decent haul of points. Didn't see too much of him in qualifying really until the end of the session. He invalidated his first run. I think he only ended up doing one extra run, if I remember correctly. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. We don't know how much practice these drivers have done at all, especially in the wet. Obviously, a lot of these guys being in the top division, they're going to practice in the wet. This could all depend on how much they've done, what are the setups going to be like, just how confident do they feel around a track that we said before the qualifying started. A lot of the drivers don't tend to enjoy, and I'm sure they won't be enjoying it over the next... Well, I say they won't be enjoying it. 18 drivers might not enjoy it over the next 28 laps. I'm sure whoever ends up taking the victory will say it is a fairly enjoyable race.
Yeah, they will definitely say that indeed. And Coquinho as well in 9th position. He came into tonight with his best result in TTML. P2 out on track in Bahrain. He'll be hoping to try and do more of the same. He's starting in behind the championship leader, in fact, Emshort. So the championship first and the championship second are starting 8th and 9th. The championship third in Neil is starting in 3rd. There's a predicted pit stop strategy, lap 14 to 17. But like I normally say in these commentaries, don't follow those graphics that come up on your screen, because normally the drivers pit in 2, 3, 4 laps even before the graphics are right. But here we go. Round 2 of the season is about to begin here in TTML, and in true James Allen fashion, are you ready to rock and roll out on track? The 5 red lights then are going to come on here out on track. Hopefully we're not going to be waiting for Yasin at the back of the grid. The 5 red lights are on here in China for round 2 of the championship. Long hold, but it's lights out and away we go. Chapelelli gets a very good start. So does Medium Pilot, Neo and Twitch Lemon trying to break the toe as well. Good start by the AlphaTauri and the Williams. Quicksilver and Perpetum trying to get up there as well. And Perpetum has actually sliced his way through up into P4. Tries to go around the outside. There's a bit of front wing flying further down the field. That might have been from Rostro perhaps. But coming through, it's all very Constantine as we come through. Chapelelli leads. Medium Pilot in second. Great start by the German. Perpetum up to third as well. Another good start by the German. Twitch Lemon alongside him, the Lebanese driver in fourth. Quicksilver fifth, Emshort of a couple of positions. And Neil's dropped all the way down as Twitch Lemon gets caught and he's close to the curb and he's had to cut. Pretty much coming through turn 3. He has to wait for everyone to filter through. And Twitch Lemon just got caught on the curb. He took the white line, I think, and just got caught. And unfortunately, he's all the way down. And Neil's dropping down a number of positions out on track as well. Disastrous start from him from third.
Yeah, definitely. Doesn't seem to have any damage. I think he's just got caught out ever so slightly. Now Vienna has managed to get his way ahead of him, and just the spray when they're on board is absolutely ridiculous at the moment. I think it's borderline between... Oh, Yorum's round.
Yeah, Bianchi and Yoram just getting caught. A little bit of tangle there. Yoram, I think, was sent in for half spin, perhaps. Bianchi, if I'm not sure, was going down the inside line. It didn't look it. I think Joram might have just spun it by himself, and Bianchi's there wrong place at the wrong time. We rode on board with that with Vienna, but Vienna all the way down from, I think, 17th on the grid, is all the way up into 9th early on. Very good start from him, regardless of not if he is a driver in this league or not. Venom is closing down on him. Varkey has gone past Neo, and Neo has had the most disastrous start of TTML Division 1 so far this season. There's 3 wide though in the background, as Legend will try and filter through on Wesker and Twitch Lemon as well from 2nd place on the grid after that spin is all the way down, from 4th on the grid I should say, is all the way down now in 11th. Everyone trying to take it gingerly coming through the final couple of corners, but Chapelelli leads, Medium Pilot 2nd, and Perpetum up to 3rd. You said he might have a good start, and indeed he has. He's up to 3rd already.
Yeah, bad start though for Wesker, Neo and Vostro, all having to come into the pits to repair front wing damage. Not ideal whatsoever. They'll have been hoping to only do 1 stop in this race to change these intermediate tyres, of course, if the conditions do stay the same. Absolutely lightning start from Chapelele, I must say. He was fantastic. Get away from him well ahead before we'd even got to the braking zone of turn 1. Now it all does seem to have settled down a bit between them front drivers, and like you said, Twitch Lemon, I think it was just desperately unlucky, just caught the curb ever so slightly while turning the car. Did very well to hold it and avoid turning it into a full spin, otherwise it could have been absolute carnage for those behind. Now he's got to try and recover his way up the field. He's found himself behind Vienna, who, like you said, absolutely fantastic start from him in the Mercedes.
Yeah, really good start. We're right on board as well further down the field. Varkey got a move done on Legend. Amadeus through on Yasin as well. So both of them gaining positions out on track as well. Looks though that Medium Pilot might be putting a little bit more pressure on Chapelele. As we see now, the graphics fix themselves. Chapelele does lead by 0.6 of a second. That looks less than 0.6 of a second though out on track. And Medium Pilot is right on the back of Chapelele running down the straight. The rain is not going to ease. Perpetum we'll be hoping to try and get onto this toe as well, but he's actually under pressure from Quicksilver in behind. The reserve driver currently filling in the Williams in 4th. M Short there in 5th, Gaginio in 6th. Looking further down the field, Carlsbury up to 7th as well. Good start from him out on track. Looking at the position gains, most positions gained, actually, respectively. Venom and Vienna, 8 positions gained. Carlsbury has gained 7. Armadillo is now through on Legend, gets the move done. But Medium Pilot putting the pressure on, new fastest lap of the race, and he's 3/10 off the back of Chapelele as we come on to lap 3.
Yeah, 3/10 off the back of Chapelele. He was 3/10 faster than Chapelele that time around. Slipstream will have helped ever so slightly, but he's going to start putting that Alfa Romeo under a bit of pressure, probably to try and line it up into the hairpin in a couple of laps' time. No DRS. It'd be pretty entertaining for us if they had DRS, but obviously safety reasons, we don't want to see don't want to see any accidents ideally, so no DRS in these conditions. But that will be a sign if it gets dry enough for the slick tyres when we start seeing the DRS enabled pop up on the bottom of the screen. That might just give us a slight hint on when we are going to be heading towards those intermediate conditions. The top 7 seem to be escaping ever so slightly. I think Bianchi obviously just had to slow down ever so slightly when Yarham had that spin. He's not doing too bad at the moment, getting away from Venom, who's got quite a few cars behind him. Vienna, Twitch Lemon and Varkey at this moment in time. This could be a very close race, I feel, throughout the midfield, and also at the top. Chapelele just keeping Medium Pilot at bay enough, and Perpetuum Mobile not really close enough to start putting the Mercedes under any real pressure at the moment.
Bianchi actually running on board with them is catching Carlsbury ahead of him. So it's 1.5 seconds out on track, 1.5 seconds. He's got 2.2 over Venom. He's going to come under pressure, as you say, from Vienna, Twitch Lemon and Varkey for that battle. Medium Pilot on the back of Chapelele down into the braking zone, not going to be quite close enough. But yeah, Bianchi is closing in. We're right on board with him down through 14 and 15. And he is physically getting closer. If I remember rightly, Bianchi loves the intermediate conditions and will be hoping to try and put pressure on the guys further ahead. But Chapelele responds, new fastest lap of the race. Medium Pilot running the slipstream, 4/10 down. Now coming through turn 1. Perpetuum there in 3rd, Quicksilver in 4th, M Short in 5th. Carlsbury is having to go. Gaginio though for 6th position. Ferrari against the Red Bull, and the Ferrari tries to get the inside coming through turn 3, but not quite. Gaginio, you can see how difficult it is. Even on my television, my big 50-inch television that I've got in my bedroom, it looks absolutely horrible out on track. And I am so pleased, actually, that we are in the commentary box rather than being out on track. Vienna, oh, and Twitch Lemon! They make contact, Twitch Twitch Lemon comes across. A horrible crash there for Twitch Lemon and Vienna, who had the run. I think Twitch Lemon just got caught, and there's a safety car out on track. So unfortunate. The Lebanese man from 4th on the grid had a disastrous start and is out the race, and that is not what you want to see out on track. But that has brought the safety car out into play, and I think possibly at the right time, because it looks to me that the conditions slowly might be beginning to worsen out on track as well.
Yeah, we'll have to see how any of the drivers do. I mean, they were still setting their fastest laps of the race last time around, but when you consider we're 20 seconds pretty much off what they were doing in qualifying, some of that's down to the fuel load and just taking it easier in the race, but a good 12, 13 seconds of that is just because of the conditions. It will be interesting to see if anyone goes for the wet tyres. It wouldn't surprise me if the intermediate tyres are faster, if you can hold on to them. The wet tyres move a lot more water. It's something like 80 litres a second of water dispersed by the wet tyres, and it might just give you a bit more confidence if the rain gets heavier. But obviously, as soon as it dries up, if it dries up, you are going to struggle. If we see anyone pit, though, I think it would be for a set of wet tyres. I can't imagine anyone pitting now for a fresh set of the intermediates.
Definitely not, and I think anybody that does come in will be running themselves at a risk of a two-stop strategy out on track as well. We saw the pit stop strategy on the formation lap, and let me just remind you of that, because it was, I think, lap 13 to 14 on a set of intermediate conditions, but normally you would see, I think, the pit stops happen from around lap 10, lap 11, and indeed nobody coming into the pit lane, and they're realising that the conditions might end up improving further, and it looks like the rain might be getting slightly easier out on track. But underneath the safety car, on lap 5 out of 28, it is Schiaparelli who leads. Medium Pilot in second, Papetum third, Quicksilver in fourth. There are the position changes again there up on your screen. Not many changes indeed, but Venom and Vienna gaining the most positions out on track. Carlsbury has had a sensational start as well, and he is on the back of Cagino. There's now they bunch up underneath the safety car, and at least I think the safety car will be out for another lap, because Wesker, Neo and Rostro, they're all in that pack coming across the start-finish line. They've got around 30 seconds, I think, to gain on the back of the safety car.
Yeah, at least for those three guys who had to pit on lap 1, it brings them back into it. They will have to pit again, like you said, but they have still got a chance of maybe doing something in this race, which will be good news for them. So yeah, at least this lap with the safety car wouldn't surprise me if we get one more. And to be honest, these intermediate tyres, I find they're pretty good on this game of coping with a lot of different conditions. Obviously, when the heavy rain comes down, the full wet tyres are fastest, but if it's only a short period of heavy rain, sometimes you can survive on the intermediates and save yourself having to make possibly 2 unnecessary pit stops. We will have to wait and see. I think we are still in intermediate conditions at the moment, and of course Medium Pilot was all over the back of Schiaparelli before the safety car came out because of Twitch Lemon's crash, and Perpetuum, Quicksilver and some of the others had dropped back ever so slightly. A man who I think will be slightly happy with that safety car is Bianchi, because he was probably looking the paciest outside the top 2 or 3 drivers before that crash. He might work his way up the field now on the same age of tyres as everyone else.
Yeah, definitely. I think also the likes of M Short possibly could come into contention as long as they have the pace in the intermediate conditions. If you heard a slight burp, by the way, on the stream, I'm sorry. I could not keep that in. I'm so sorry. So sorry, Luke, if you heard that.
Well, the fact that I didn't hear it makes me think when I've done it and just pretended it didn't happen, they might not have heard mine in so many commentaries that I've lost count. So there we go. We're all good. The good news is at least we're not sharing a physical commentary box with each other, because then otherwise I'd probably be a bit less happy with you.
Oh goodness me, there'll be perspex screens going all about the place, honestly, if we were in a commentary box together. Of course we have to stay 2 meters apart anyways with the social distancing, but even with my burps and my goodness knows what else, yeah, that perspex screen will come into play, I think, sooner rather than later if we were in a full physical commentary box. But what that does, though, Schiaparelli, Medium Pilot, Papetum currently leading. And you see, actually, on board with Papetum, he is using up what is in the rule books, that 10 car length distance between the car ahead and the car behind. Medium Pilot, Papetum is using that up to good effect. And what that does is just intimidate, I think, some of the drivers behind. Quicksilver, M Short, Cagino certainly will be wanting to try and get a mental advantage over Papetum, but Papetum holding up this pack, he's trying to maximise his tyre wear out on track, and that's why he's trying to give himself the best possible chance to have a go at Schiaparelli and Medium Pilot. And again, you see with Medium Pilot, he is doing the same now on the back of Schiaparelli.
Yeah, it does seem like maybe with some of these drivers, there's quite a lot of aggressive weaving going on, so it's almost as if they are struggling to keep the temperature in the tyres, which again does tend to suggest to me that we might be in borderline between intermediate and full wet conditions. Twitch Lemon, don't think he's too happy about his retirement, but he's predicting Coutinho to get the podium, and we'll have to see if his Red Bull teammate can move up, because the safety car is coming in on this lap. So now it's all up to Schiaparelli to decide when to put the hammer down. Has to let the safety car get into the pit lane, of course, but when will the Alfa Romeo put the hammer down? He got a fantastic standing start on lap 1 of this race. Can he get an equally good rolling start to get us back into green flag action?
Well, certainly he's maintained a very consistent pace under the safety car so far. The safety car probably around 6-7 seconds now ahead of him out on track. And Schiaparelli, I think, will be wanting to try and get the best run possible and try and outgun Medium Pilot off the stop. Perpetuum and Quicksilver, interestingly, are going along in their own group, but everybody has got to gap up. I think they're realising that Schiaparelli might have gone a little bit too early here. Schiaparelli will come now, the safety car now coming into the pit lane, and of course he can't go until that safety car line is reached, or indeed the start-finish line is reached, and now he says go through into the final corner. We are back underway now in China. Going to be cutting it very close indeed, but we're back underway, and Schiaparelli now leads across the line from Medium Pilot second. Great start though from Carlsbury in the background. He's already got Coutinho, who ran wide coming through the final corner, so Carlsbury already up into 6th position ahead of Coutinho underneath the start. Ahmadi and Varkey fighting it out for 11th and 12th. The Williams and the Haas. How often do we see this in Formula 1 between these two teams? Yasin right on the back as well, but a very clean start by everyone and nice evenly spaced out. I don't think I saw anybody get penalties underneath the safety car as well, which is what happens further down, as now Carlsbury has a fantastic run now on the back of M Short, and there is M Short's view. Oh, and he goes into the back of Quicksilver, I do believe, and now forces Carlsbury down on the inside line. Coutinho right involved in this as well, but Carlsbury is through and he's up into 5th position. 2 positions gained in the space of 6 or 7 corners, and I'll tell you what, Carlsbury has got the best start out of everyone, I think.
Yeah, an absolutely fantastic restart from Carlsbury, taking advantage of Coutinho's mistake, and then I think M Short just got a bit too distracted with the Ferrari, forgot about Quicksilver, ended up just giving him a slight tap, and that was all the invitation Carlsbury needed. He got great traction though, I must say, coming out of turn 6 to just get on the power and drive away from the McLaren. I thought that would be a bit more tricky for him, so mechanically the grip of that car seems to be set up well, because at those low speeds downforce wouldn't really play too much of a part of it. Seemed to be struggling a bit though through that long right hander, and I wonder if that will give M Short a bit more of an opportunity. Further back down the field you've got Johan trying to recover after his spin earlier, going side by side with Legend here down the main straight, and Legend just seems to have a bit more straight line speed using his ERS, manages to hold on for that position. Yarm's got the inside line though. Can he go down into the hairpin and get this position done? I think Legend's going to try and hold it off to go into the final corner. Nothing doing for him though. He drops into 15th. Very clean restart though, like you said. They all seem to be a bit caught by surprise as well by Schiaparelli. They all seem to be extremely spaced out, and Schiaparelli thought, you know what, I'm just gonna go for it now, and never really looked under any pressure.
There goes Wesker down the inside of Legend as well. Legend might be losing 2 positions here as the other Ferrari now makes an overtake. This is not really something you see in real life in Formula 1, a Ferrari overtaking a Haas. It's normally the other way around, but Wesker is through and he's up into 15th position and now can focus his attentions on Johan 5 tenths, 6 tenths now in front of him on track. Yasin, by the way, think he's still showing as a bit of a desync on my screen as Neo now is through on Legend, and Legend really under pressure actually from Neo around the outside line, coming through. Beautiful traction by the German, and he is up now into 16th position. Legend really struggling. He's one of the only guys actually out of these guys further down the field that haven't came into the pit. So Legend really beginning to struggle with maybe overheating in those tyres, as now the fans' favourite Rostro tries to come up on him as well. Perpetuum though, fastest middle sector out of everyone. He is right on the back of Medium Pilot, and you can throw a blanket over the front 3 because it's 1.2 seconds separating the guys out on track. Schiaparelli still leads, Medium Pilot second, Perpetuum in third. Quicksilver and Carlsbury though, they're beginning to run in a bit of no man's land, to be honest, especially Quicksilver in 4th. He's 1.5 seconds off the back of Perpetuum, and you don't want to be giving away time advantage like that because he's running now in a bit of, well, no man's land, to be honest, I think, in terms of the track.
Yeah, definitely just seems to be on his own all of a sudden. Further back, Rostro has got ahead of Legend, who just seems to be having a really difficult evening, to be honest, around here. Chapalele, first man into the 1 minute 44s then in the Alfa Romeo. So that suggests we are sticking at intermediate conditions. You will see the times come down ever so slightly. They're a couple of seconds faster than they were in the early stages, and there does seem to be a bit more of a drier line appearing, but we are nowhere near the slick tyres yet, and that could be telling to see whether it will dry out. We might expect to see a few drivers coming in the next 3 or 4 laps. If everyone tries to stretch it to around about lap 15, lap 16, or possibly even longer, that suggests we might see the race dry up fully. That could be a risk that some of the drivers have to take. Chapalele low, looking more confident since the safety cars come in. Doesn't seem to be under as much pressure from medium pilot, and Perpetuum hanging with the front two better than he was earlier on.
Yeah, Perpetuum actually making one of the best starts out of everyone, I think, in terms of the safety car restart. Carlsbury as well, from 7th up to 5th under that safety car restart. He is now getting onto the back of Quicksilver and dragging M. Short, Coquini and Bianchi, possibly, and that train, in fact, along with him. But everyone seemed quite evenly spaced out. And Chapalele, if there was DRS, he's actually broken that DRS and is looking considerably quicker, I think, than medium pilot. Chapalele's got 75% of that ERS remaining. He now uses half of it up now down the straight. Medium pilot has got about 66% running down the straight, and Perpetuum actually on 39%. So they're both pretty much double inferior to Perpetuum behind. Coquini trying to close up on M. Short in the meantime. This is for 6th and 7th out on track. He gets close, but doesn't get close enough to the back of the Husky Chocolate of M. Short there in 6th position. Bianchi in 8th, trying to take that thinner line once again. Looking further down the field, we come on board with Chapalele setting another new fastest lap of the race. There's not really much in terms of overtaking. Neil's getting quite close to Wesker though.
Yeah, he is. I was going to say maybe we might see Wesker actually get onto the back of Yarn just because he's got that ever so slight tyre advantage. But yeah, they all do seem to be in that annoying half a second to a second gap between a lot of these drivers, where they're all just nice and spaced out and not really under any massive pressure unless they make any mistakes. One thing's clear though, Chapalele is definitely the fastest man out on track at the moment. Fastest lap after fastest lap. He's clearly feeling very comfortable on those intermediate tyres, and the safety car will have allowed a bit of extra life to stay in them. Also, further back for the battle for the final points place, Varkey looking very close to the back of the Mercedes. You don't normally see a Williams battling behind a Mercedes, but that's what we're getting, of course, with the equal performance, and this might just give D and some of these other drivers further back a chance to catch up as well.
Just to correct Luke there as well, we have full points for all drivers out on track as well. I think you might be thinking it's normal Formula 1 points, if I'm not mistaken, but I can trust you and assure you it's a yellow flag in Sector 2, and Legend, his night has gone from bad to worse, goes off, coming through turn 7 and 8. I think he's just lost it on the curb, perhaps.
Yeah, he has. Really, like I said, it does seem to be struggling. He dropped about 2 or 3 seconds behind Rostro before he had that spin. I'm just looking at the fastest laps of all the other drivers. Everyone else is setting 145s. He's not gone any faster than 148, but not having a great evening. Like you said, I'm just so used to saying top 10 as points. Now I'm just so used to saying it. But yeah, if Legend keeps going, he'll earn himself some points. So it's definitely worth carrying on. And you never know in these conditions whether someone else, we've already seen Twitch Lemon got lucky once, didn't another time. You never know if we might see some other retirements and see some other safety cars.
Yeah, if you're wondering what that yellow flag in Sector 2 was about, it was a ghost car going through there, because there was no car at all going through that middle sector out on track, unless it's Yasin causing a little bit of a glitch within the lobby. I think, actually, Medium Pilot, out of turn 14, made a mistake. I saw the gap. It was about 9/10 of a second. It's now nearly 1.5 seconds, so Perpetuum has just lost that advantage, and Medium Pilot just beginning to gain, and I think Perpetuum possibly has had a bit of a moment out on track, which we haven't caught. And again, a yellow flag in Sector 2 is nobody out on track as they now actually filter through that part of the track where there would be no overtaking. I think it's Yasin having a bit of a go with us, I think, in terms of the little bit of a glitch that goes on. That is what happens when, of course, you invite a driver late into the lobby. But not really much going on in terms of the action out on track. I wish I could give you a little bit more better action, to be honest, but there's nobody even close close enough for an overtake, perhaps. Chapelelli leads medium pilot second, Perpetuum third, Quicksilver fourth, Colsbury fifth, M Short sixth, Cagenio, Bianchi, Venom, Vienna rounding off the top 10. And just to clarify as well with Vienna, he is a reserve here in Division 1, and another one that has signed up quite late into the night as Vaki now closes up on Vienna. The two Austrians about to do battle down the straight, Mercedes against Williams, and how Niki Lauda would be looking down on this battle and thinking, come on my little Mercedes, beat that Williams. As Chapelelli is into the pit lane from the lead.
This is very early indeed, because he was definitely showing some great pace, but 11 laps on those intermediate tyres, that means he'll have to do 17 on the second set if it doesn't dry up at any point, but it will be another set of intermediate tyres. He'll come out in some free air behind Rostro. We'll have to see what he can do on those tyres, and will that force anyone else in, or will these other drivers think we'll just go a few laps longer, try to do the overcut later in the race, take advantage of fresher rubber towards the end? Because if it stays like this, Chapelelli could find himself in a bit of tyre trouble. Not puncture territory, just a lot less grip in the final few laps.
Gotta be honest, it does look like it's brightening up out on track somewhat, as Legend has retired from the session in the pit lane, so he is now out of the race and is down now into 18th position, not 17th as shows on your screen. But Chapelelli out of the pit lane, I think his strategy, I think he's been told when the weather is going to come, as Neo and Wesker actually go side by side, coming through 9 and 10 even, and Neo down the inside line on Wesker. Can he get the move done? Racing points against Ferrari. Brilliant battle, side by side, coming through the middle sector, and Neo has got that car ahead. The German comes out on top. Great battle between them both, and at a part of the track you really don't see battling either.
Yeah, I just wonder if Wesker maybe made a slight mistake on the older tyres. And like you said, I think it is going to stop raining at some point, and that's why Chapelelli's decided, right, pit now, make sure I can get the best life out of this set of intermediate tyres and see what I can do. What that battle with Neo and Wesker has done is just allowed Rostro to catch back onto these, because of course all these guys pitted on the first lap as medium pilot, fastest lap of the race at the moment. He's got plenty of life left in his intermediate tyres, as now we see Carlsberg, Coutinho, Varkey and Imadi all come into the pits. Yarham in as well. So I think a few of these drivers have got the same idea with Chapelelli. Of course, you get less wear as you go later on in the race, just because you're burning off the fuel.
I'd imagine actually that the light rain from Jeff has been, Jeff has told them probably that the light rain is probably going to stop in around 10 or 15 minutes time. If these guys are making their pit stops now, 10 or 15 minutes time would be from around lap 19, but that's not to say that the track will improve between then, lap 19 and 20, because the track will only improve, I think, when it begins to dry out, and that could be 2, 3, 4 laps after the rain has stopped out on track. So if there is going to be a lessening of the rain, I think I would imagine it to be within the next 5 or 6 laps out on track. Everyone coming out the pit lane there. Varkey, Imadi have came out right in behind Cagenio as well. Chapelelli has got a 7-second gap over Carlsbury. There is a yellow flag in sector 1, and can you see, did you see that on the mini-map there by any chance?
I was on board with Yassin, and that is definitely going. That is definitely going on Twitter later. What his car just did is quite miraculous. Actually, I never knew the front wing on a McLaren could be used as a tunnel boring machine, because it was well underground there. But the less we say about that, maybe the better. Medium pilot still carrying on, 2 seconds now ahead of Perpetuum. And I'll tell you what, Short's caught right up to the back of Quicksilver. Now that some of those cars in between, he's caught right up to the back, and yeah, I think everyone is coming in. Be interesting, like you said, towards the end of this race. If it stops raining around lap 21, 22, becomes dry enough for the slicks a couple of laps later, will we see a few drivers try and stick it out on the intermediates and a few drivers come in for the dry tyres?
Well, this is now the pit window for the Inters, apparently. Lap 13, 14 was for some of the drivers. M Short is in. Quicksilver nearly got held up in the pit lane there by M Short, but M Short has joined right in behind, and they're going to be in the thick of the action, I think, as well. Rostro, by the way, has come into the pit lane again, if I'm not mistaken. Or has he not been into the pit lane? I don't think he's been into the pits, has he?
He pitted on lap 1.
Ah, he put it on lap 1, that's why. So he's now into the pit lane for a second stop. knew we pitted earlier on, but still. Yasin hopefully not going to be going underground. The Turkish man out on track. He's in 15th position. Yoram in 16th. There's a yellow flag coming through in sector 2, which is for nobody out on track. And again, we're at the stage of the race where nothing really is happening out on track. There are glitches galore, but Medium Pilot is extending that gap out to Perpetuum, and in terms of the gap to Schiaparelli, it's 20 seconds. So I think Schiaparelli is going to be in a considerable good advantage. I think he's going to be something like 3 or 4 seconds clear when Medium Pilot makes his pit stop, which I would imagine would be either this lap or next lap around.
Yeah, all I can think is that Medium Pilot and Perpetuum are hoping that Jeff has overestimated how long this rain's going to last for, and I think Schiaparelli is probably hoping that Jeff has underestimated how long this rain is going to last for, because Pilot and Mobile are all carrying on again for another lap. I wonder if they're going to try and get these mediums to last long enough that they can put the slick tyres on. I can't see it happening, but we'll have to wait and see. Bianchi and Vienna come into the pits. It's been a pretty decent first run as a reserve from Vienna, to be honest. Didn't have the best qualifying joining late, so he's come in now from what was 5th position as Schiaparelli. You could just see the pace he's got at the moment. 144.038, 7 tenths faster than what we've seen anyone else doing. The intermediates on those at the front are going to be slightly cooked, and unless it stops raining very soon, it could even cost ourselves a chance of finishing 2nd and 3rd here. Yep,
gap 19.3 seconds currently out on track, and Schiaparelli will be hoping to try and gain. He's got Wesker in front of him on 10-lap older tyres, but I've got to be honest, these track conditions now are beginning to improve, I think. They're disposing of probably less water at this stage than what they were at the start of the race. And look at the clouds, they're beginning to break, and that is the biggest indicator of all if the track is going to be dry. It's not going to go, I think, full wall sunshine out on track, but it's certainly going to improve. And I actually can see at some points on the track blue skies beginning to break through the clouds as well. So you never know, these conditions might change sooner rather than later.
Yeah, the clouds don't definitely look as threatening. There are a few, well, like lighter coloured clouds that were dark grey that we've been seeing for the entire race, and definitely not as dark as they were in the early stages. Schiaparelli now closing up to the back of Wesker, and I don't think there'll be a lot that the Ferrari driver can do. This could be pretty interesting for, I think, Wesker and XL Neo, because if anyone could stretch these tyres out to dry conditions, it might be those, having, of course, pitted early on. But Pilot and Mobile both decided they've had enough of their intermediates. Venom dives into the pits, and in fact, Neo comes in. Wesker decides to stay out. He's in the lead of this race. I think it's going to be a short-held lead, though, because Schiaparelli is all over the back of him. I'd expect Pilot and Mobile will come out just ahead of Carlsberg, but he'll have definitely caught up to the back of them. Could still have a chance of getting a podium here in the Ferrari.
Carlsberg's going to be really close to the back of Perpetuum coming out the pit lane, and it's about 4.5 seconds between Schiaparelli and Perpetuum. So, Schiaparelli and Pilot, I should say, out on track. Schiaparelli in second, Wesker currently leading, Schiaparelli second, Medium Pilot in third. Perpetuum, though, and Carlsberg quite close. Yoram and Venom are having a good squabble, I think, in this middle sector. Schiaparelli has dived it down the inside and has got the move done on Wesker. Wesker was going to try and come back, I think, but Schiaparelli has indeed got that move done. Run above the two Reynolds, though. They are battling, Venom and Yoram, 13th and 14th. Yasin, by the way, out on track. He hasn't got a position next to his name. It says he's 17th out on track. I don't think that is the case for him out on track. But look at the gap that Schiaparelli is extending. Medium Pilot, though, on slightly fresher tyres, is 3.9 seconds off the back of him. So he is gaining.
Yeah, if it ends up going quite late before we see any possibility of dry tyres, Medium Pilot and Perpetuum Mobile could still have a big say in who ends up taking the victory in this race, and you can just see the difference in the tyres. So Wesker leading at the start of this lap. He's already over a second behind. Further back, any big winners from that pit stop? Well, I was expecting Bianchi and Coutinho to do slightly better just with the pace they showed, but again, Bianchi's got fresher tyres than some of those behind him, and 1 lap fresher than Quicksilver and Short, so that wouldn't have too much difference. Perpetuum, he'll have the fresher tyres, which will help him get away from Carlsberg as Carlsberg's teammate Wesker comes into the pits. That means everyone has come in. They've not been able to hold it out until the slick conditions, but judging by how much lighter the rain looks, it wouldn't surprise me if we do see slicks before the end of this race.
it could be a splash and dash sort of affair, I think, out on track, and that's why these guys are coming into the pit lane now. Here comes Venom on the back of Yasin, and a little bit of PG-18 as he goes inside, but cuts to the inside line, and he should get the move done here, the Brit on the Turk. The Turk is still trying to hang on in there, but Venom is through, and that is for position. That is for P12 out on track. Yasin is in P13, Yoram on the back of him in P14. It might look like he's ghosted, it's only because he's desync and has joined late on our screen. That is why, and Yoram doesn't want to try and force anything that's not really going to be his. As now, Venom is through for 12th, Yoram in 14th currently, but look at the gap now, with obviously Wesker coming into the pit lane, 3.3 seconds the gap between Chapelelli and Medium Pilot, and I think if it was to ease off this rain, Medium Pilot I think is at a better chance than Chapelelli, because he's on fresher inters now, and 3 seconds with clear air is going to take, what, 4-5 laps possibly to gain if it was to stay like this?
Yeah, we might be able to have a look soon to see how much Pilot's actually going to gain on this lap, because he was fastest man in the middle sector. We could even see a 1 minute 43 from him. Another reason why he could be in a good condition is if the rain carries on until the end of this race, Chapelelli's intermediates are going to look awful. If it doesn't carry on until the end, Chapelelli might still have to pit slightly earlier for dry tyres, perhaps when it's not optimal timing, as Medium Pilot's now coming across the finish line. Yeah, 1:43.685, so at least 4 tenths faster than what Chapelelli's doing. It's pretty much bang on to catch him with about 2 or 3 laps to go. This could be a very exciting end to this race. It does seem now like Perpetuum has been dropped ever so slightly, but could still finish in 3rd, but there's a train of cars behind him ready if he makes even the slightest mistake.
Top 13, by the way, separated by less than 18 seconds out on track. Factor in Neo, it's just over 18 seconds out on track. And this mid-pack battle, spanning all the way from from M Short of Quicksilver downwards, separated by about 9 seconds out on track. So really no room for error from any of these guys out on track. But look at how Medium Pilot is gaining. The fresher tyres are really coming into play. He is excelling out on track, and it's 2.7 seconds now the gap. Chapelelli might have gone too early, I think, on those set of inters, because Medium Pilot now is beginning to close them in. More than halfway through, myself and Luke Etheridge taking you through the action. I think Yoram, by the way, has got the move done on Yasin. I've just seen that. Oh, and actually the Yasin has gone off track and has reversed off track. And I'm not sure if that was meant to be done or if he's just made a mistake. I think he's made a mistake there.
Yeah, I mean, the plus side for us is his position on the timing tower now matches his actual position on track. He's stone dead last, and we'll have to see if he could recover, because it did look as though he was losing a few places there, obviously to Venom and Yoram and Neo. Not too far behind either. But yeah, Chapelelli, I did think it was too early, and he could find himself in a bit of trouble here. Medium Pilot's really closing the gap down. It was 4 seconds when he came into the pits. Another fastest lap from Medium Pilot. He's managed a 1:43.506, and if I very quickly get up what time Chapelelli did on the last lap, 1:44.251, so 7.5 tenths quicker. In the next 2 or 3 laps, he's going to be all over the back of the Alfa Romeo, and I'm not sure Chapelelli's going to have the tyres and the traction that he needs to defend from the Mercedes.
He needs this rain ideally to stop around about now. I think Jeff, on his end certainly, has underdone the strategy, I think. And Chapelelli pitted earlier, expecting the rain was going to end earlier, and Medium Pilot was going to end later. Not to say, we're just thinking that the rain is going to be ending very soon indeed. It might not end at all, so it's going to be fantastic to see as Chapelelli now gets hunted down by Medium Pilot. But arguably, I think this is one of the best races I've seen Chapelelli drive, as Yasin has unfortunately left the session out on track. Is left out on track. His car is still going there. He can rejoin if he so wishes and tries to pick up the P17 out on track with only 3 points, I think, available for that position. But Chapelelli, I think, as I say, arguably he's driving his best race, but I don't want to say that twice in 1 week, because I said that last week and then he spun about 2 laps later.
Well, I'm going to go and say it. He's doing a very good performance. We saw that in qualifying as well. That's the problem with Jeff sometimes. I did a race last week. Jeff said it was going to stop raining in 10 minutes. Well, it was going to start raining in 10 minutes. I put the soft tyres on. A lap later, Jeff tells me it's going to start raining in 15 minutes. And I'm thinking, that would have been useful a couple of laps ago. But yeah, there's always that slight bit of unpredictability. It's never going to be an exact science. He is normally a pretty good weather forecaster, so I'd have expected, given the fact that he pitted on round about lap 11, and if it doesn't stop raining before lap 20, well, really round about now, he's got it slightly wrong. Medium pilots now within 1.5 seconds. All of a sudden, I think some of this is just medium pilot seems to be absolutely loving this car on this track, on these tyres at the moment, because he's pulled out 2 seconds to Petem as well, who, let's not forget, was all over the back of these two in the first stint.
Short right on the back of Quicksilver. Oh, and then he gets his braking wrong. Quicksilver changes his mind, got to the inside line. And if he didn't do that, actually, I think there would have been contact there. But Short right on the back of Quicksilver. And Short's just got to be careful. He is, of course, as part of the XL Racing team, which you will see, of course, taking part live tomorrow night in the EML, the Esports Masters League. That's going to be taking place from from 7 o'clock, I should say. Aidan Carter and Daniel Hogarth are going to be taking you through that one. And then it is either going to be the combination of myself and Luke Etheridge, or myself and Kieran McGinley tomorrow night for the Premier Division, and that's going to be fantastic to see and fantastic to watch. And again, I think with round 3 we are going to Zandvoort, if I'm not mistaken, a new track, of course, which was meant to be added onto the F1 calendar. Looks like it's going to be added onto the F1 calendar in the autumn next year. But if you want to have a bit of a talk about the calendar that's been released, there's this weird Grand Prix that they've announced called the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, which could be quite interesting. There's a new track and a new country to go to. What's your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I'm a bit interested to see. I imagine it's going to be a street circuit at this short notice, but saying that, I believe the Brazilian Grand Prix is apparently going to be in Rio next year as well, and they haven't got the circuit built for that, and there's been a lot of controversy about what's going to happen around there, so we will wait and see. That is making a big assumption that everything is normal by March time. It wouldn't surprise me if there's still a few races that get cancelled, as I just went on board with Quicksilver there. He had a massive slide through turns 1 and 2. He was catching up to the back of Carlsbury. That gap has quickly opened up again, and that's allowed M Short once again to be all over the back of these Williams. He gave him a slight tap earlier. He nearly gave him a slight tap last lap around. This time he's a bit further back, not close enough to go for the overtake, and Bianchi trying to get involved in this battle as well. Leader of the race, though, Chapalele stopped the rut ever so slightly, but Medium Pilot has got that gap now to 1.1 seconds.
Yeah, 1.1 seconds. He's got 4 lap pressure tyres compared to Chapalele out on track, hoping he can make some sort of an impact out on track, and he is still beginning to close. But the gap now, I would say, he's beginning to gain it by about 4 or 5 tenths a lap, not 6 or 7 tenths that we were seeing, and that gap could potentially mean that Medium Pilot won't be able to close, but now he's just about within what would be the DRS range out on track. It looks to me, the further as we go on, as Neil has gone through on Yarum around the outside through turn 12. Great move there by Neil as we ride on board with him coming through there, and Yarum will try and gain back at him. M Short and Quicksilver quite close down into the braking zone. Yarum is now going to have another go at Neil, but I don't think he's going to be close enough, and then unless he channels his in a Daniel Ricciardo, it's not going to be. But with 7 laps to go, it is Chapalele who leads, Medium Pilot second, Perpetuum in third. But Ben Short, this is his best opportunity now to try and go around the outside. Quicksilver defends the inside line. The McLaren tries to set it all the way around the outside. The traction now on the outside of the corner through turn 1, now through turn 2. Quicksilver has got the run. M Short is still going to have the inside line though. Oh, and they make contact. Quicksilver and M Short sent spinning round. Cause a little bit of a Constantino effect, and behind Bianchi, Gugino trying to get through, but somehow nobody has either gained or lost a position out of that.
Yeah, absolute miracle. M Short wasn't really alongside there, and I don't think there was really a gap. We do only get to see it once, so we do have to be careful. I do think M Short perhaps should have just let Quicksilver had that position and fight another day, and somehow Cugino's now in all of this, because that slowed Bianchi down as well. Bianchi's now compromised his line coming out of 4. That's allowed Cugino to get ahead of him, and Varkey trying to go round the outside at turn 8. That gives him the inside for 9, and he's got the move done. Fantastic overtake from Varkey. We haven't really mentioned him too much tonight. Qualified in 15th positions, got himself up into 8. From with the way Quicksilver and Short seem to be battling, who knows, he might find a few more places. Out in the lead of this race though, Medium Pilot now within half a second of Chapalele. There's no way it's going to get to slick tyre conditions in this race, I don't think. We're just 6 laps remaining. And I don't think there's any way Chapelele is going to be able to hold on to the victory. It should be, though. Should be a second place. A short's now gone round the outside before we even get to the braking zone for the hairpin. He gets that position done as Bianchi tries to go down the inside of Varkey. Varkey's still alongside, though. He'll have the inside for the final corner, and that's just going to give 5th, 6th and 7th place a bit of breathing space. Bianchi's still there, and to be fair to Varkey, he's given him space, and Bianchi now's got the inside to turn 1. This battle's going to run on and on and on, and D and Vienna might be able to get involved.
Yeah, Bianchi up the inside line. Varkey nearly shuts the door on him. The Racing Point and the Williams go side by side up the hill through turn 1 and then through turn 2. I'm a D. Vienna all getting involved, as you say. But Bianchi ran the outside on. I think he got caught in a bit of a mistake coming out of turn 7 and 8. That is why he lost the position initially to Varkey out on track. But now Bianchi has gained it back. And a brilliant move coming out of turn 4. Gets the move done and he's up back into that 8th position out on track. But we'll turn our attentions, though, to the battle for the lead. Chapelele and Medium Pilot are now 4/10 of a second away from each other out on track, and surely you would be favouring Medium Pilot at this stage in the race. He almost weaved to say, I am here. The German is now under pressure, and Medium Pilot driving, trying to be the champion that he was last season in TTML. Chapelele, relatively unknown in TTML. He joined last season, of course. He didn't really race that greatly, to be honest, had a little bit of bad luck, and now Medium Pilot is going to try and get him down the straight in towards turn number 14, but I don't think he's close enough. He downs his overtake mode, and Chapelele remains in the lead of this race for at least one more lap. But I think Medium Pilot's strategy is hound at the back of the German and make him force into a mistake.
Yeah, and I think the chances of him doing that are just going to increase as the tyres get older. But yeah, Chapelele definitely... He saved a lot of ERS here. I think he's thinking about just being quick where it matters, as D's tried to go round the outside of Varkey there at the hairpin. Nothing doing, and all this battling has just allowed... Well, it's like we said, it's allowed Vienna to catch up. Venom and Neo have got onto the back. So you've got... Now that Bianchi's got away ever so slightly, we've got to say definitely Yarki to Neo. 5 cars there, 2 seconds between them with 5 laps to go. We all got a bit quiet in that middle part of the race, James, but it's definitely spiced up once again.
It really has spiced up, and I think that's the love factor of China coming through. We normally have a little bit of a lull in the action around the midpoint, and then it all begins to pick up towards the end of the race. You are in the right spot at the right time with 4.5 laps to go. Chapelele does lead Medium Pilot in second, and actually for Chapelele, if it was obviously to be the compound of tyres, if it was to turn into slicks, as I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the rain has actually stopped out on track.
Yeah, the rain has stopped. This is going to be interesting now to see how quickly, it dries up, because once it dries up, the difference is night and day. You're going to lose about 10-15 seconds a lap being on the intermediate tyres, but if it's only dry enough for the final 2 laps, some drivers are definitely going to stay out and some will come in. There's still a bit of spray coming off the back of Chapelele's car, nowhere near as much as there was earlier on. This is going to be very interesting indeed. We haven't seen DRS enabled, and that's the big sign of it's definitely dry enough for the slick tyres. I wonder if anyone's going to risk it at the moment. I think now, if you do, you'd put the soft tyres on, because they're the only ones that are going to get anywhere near to keeping the tyre temperature in them to have any decent chance. 4 laps to go though. Chapelele's doing a decent job. It's not the easiest place to overtake when you haven't got the DRS, and he's just keeping it nice and tidy coming through that banked corner onto the main straight, and that's really stopping Medium Pilot having any decent chance of getting an overtake done. Maybe he needs to surprise him, maybe a Ricciardo-esque move similar to what he did on Bottas in 2018.
Possibly, yeah. Yarem and Rostro, however, are in. And these guys further down the field are looking to go towards a set of soft compound tyres, and they are. So Yarem and Rostro are in. I think anybody trying to commit themselves on a set of soft compound tyres, you're going to be really struggling at this stage in the race. The track is drying, but I think it's going to come down to that scenario where if anybody goes onto the set of softs with 2 laps to go, they're going to be quicker as out of the pit lane. I think Yarem has spun.
Yeah, Yarem fully sideways coming out of the pit lane there. Well, I've got a warning for crossing the pit entry line, and there's a demonstration straight away, just because of obviously it'll be so much wetter in the pit lane because hardly anyone's gone through it and they're not creating any dry line, and these are tippy-toeing round at the moment. It's definitely not dry enough yet for slick tyres, but they were way down the back. It's worth a shot, because if it was ready, they could gain so much time. I can't see the leaders coming in. I think Pilot probably will just end up following whatever Chapelele does here. To be honest, Shap's pulling away ever so slightly in the Alfa Romeo. Pilot not getting too close into the hairpin, and if he's not that close into turn 1 or turn 6, not really any other overtaking opportunity.
The most interesting factor in all of this as well, Chapelele's got more ERS to deploy than Medium Pilot at this stage of the race as well. He's got 68%, Medium Pilot around 35%, so that is a difference of 33% ERS in favour of the leader Chapelele out on track. We'll have a ride on board with the penalties if you don't mind as well, Luke, for the top 10. There's nothing really going on, but if I see anything, we'll cut straight on board with it. But we'll run through the penalties now.
Yeah, Chapelele's kept it nice and clean. Only one warning. Medium Pilot, he has 2 warnings, so needs to be a bit careful. Petum also with 2 warnings and no penalties. Carlsbury just picking up a warning on that last lap. It's been very clean for everyone. M Short, 2 warnings as well, no penalties. Quicksilver, no penalties. He's 1 warning away. Coutinho, 12 seconds at the moment. He's going to drop a long way down because Bianchi has kept it very clean with no penalties, as has Varkey, as has IMD. So Coutinho possibly dropping outside the top 10 here, and Yarham and Rostro have lost about 10-15 seconds on that last lap. It's definitely, now it looks a lot drier, but there's no way it's going to become 15 seconds drier all of a sudden. And I'm on board with Yarham. He's got so much understeer. I can't see any of these top drivers coming in to put the dry tyres on.
Nope, everyone's going to have to stay out on the same compound of tyres that they are on. M Short, however, is on the back of Carlsbury, 5.5 tenths separate, and M Short takes the thinner line coming through the hairpin and now could have a go. DRS unfortunately not going to be enabled, so he's going to have to try this the hard way, as there's yellow flag in sector 1 and 2, and that is Rostro. That is round coming through turn 5, I think that was, or just coming through turn 5. M Short very close to the back there of Carlsbury, but with 2 more laps to go, Chapelele, is he on for his first TTML race win? His TTML Division 1 race win is just 2 laps away. And honestly, in this situation, if you are Chapelele, if you are one of the most unluckiest drivers to ever grace a league race, Chapelele deserves this, I think. He has driven the absolute socks off. We thought Medium Pilot would get to him. He has got to him. But Chapelele has just got every answer at the minute to Medium Pilot's questions.
As the great man Murray once said, catching up is one thing, overtaking is another, and that's exactly what it is. Chapelele is just, he's being intelligent. He knows where he can save his ERS. He knows where he needs to be quick, and that's coming out of turn 12 onto the main straight and coming out of the final corner as well. As long as he keeps it nice and tidy there's not a lot Pilot can do. It's very early in the season. He's not going to send one down the inside from absolutely nowhere, because it could take both of them out of the race, and then that would give Perpetuum the race victory. Yarham's had a slightly better lap last time around, but he still lost around 7 seconds to Chapelele. So yeah, if we do get to see a crossover point, it will probably be the final lap of the race, and then it's not going to be worth anyone coming into the pits. Further back though, we've seen Neo managing to get, well, I think that's trying to get back ahead of Venom. Actually, Venom down into 13th now. They've dropped back ever so slightly from Vienna and D. And Short all over the backs of Carlsbury. He might be trying to go all the way around the outside here to get himself up into 4th place. Can he do it on the brakes? Has he got enough grip to go all the way around the outside? Not quite now. That's going to be something to watch on the final lap, as is the battle for the race lead. And Rostro's come back in for a set of inters.
Yeah, Medium Pilot is really putting the pressure on Chapelele now up the hill through turn 2. M Short as well, putting the pressure on Carlsbury. This is his only one an opportunity, I think, to try and get the move done. Trying to go all the way around the outside of turn 1. I've seen this done plenty of times before, and he's trying to manage it around the outside. He's not going to get the move done as Carlsbury tries to take the wide out line and defends the position stoically. Absolutely brilliantly there from Carlsbury to maintain that 4th position. Quicksilver all over the back of these guys as well. Coutinho, Carlsbury tyres, by the way, have gone completely off the cliff. Medium Pilot is pressurising Chapelele. He does not want to let this go, and I think Medium Pilot's stats read something like 6 or 7 TTML wins out of a possible 11 or 12 races. And Schiaparelli is trying to break that run here tonight, and Medium Pilot has only got one more chance, and that is down in towards turn 14, then possibly into 15, and then that is it, because Medium Pilot now is all over the back. If DRS is enabled at this point, then it's going to be really unfortunate. And as I say that, it has just been enabled. A Medium Pilot has graced himself into a possible winning opportunity. Right on board with Medium Papetin by mistake. Schiaparelli, has he got enough down the straight? I don't think Medium Pilot has got enough EOS to deploy. I think this is Schiaparelli's now to lose. Medium Pilot is going to have one last go down the straight, but no, Schiaparelli is round through the final couple of corners. Medium Pilot is still on the back of him. This is not over until the fat lady sings. Schiaparelli ran the final corner, is going to win here in China as long as he doesn't weave across the line. Oh, Schiaparelli by 700th of a second. Medium Pilot then spinning across the line. Papetin in third. Carlsbury and M Short having a right battle. It's all sorts of action and carnage kicking off in the back red. M Short trying to get Carlsbury to the line. He doesn't in the end. Quicksilver is 6th. Bianchi 7th. Cagigno's dropping down with the penalties. Imadi, Cagigno, Vienna up into 9th on his reserve debut. Really good performance from him. Weska's going to be coming across the line in 14th. Rostro, by the way, got lapped on that final lap of the race. Wesker jumps himself up to 13th because of Cagigno's penalties, and Yarum, unfortunately, on a set us off compound tyres. He is improving though. Could he set the fastest lap of the race?
Yeah, I was just thinking that. This could be the fastest lap of the race from Yarum. It was a personal best sector 1. Nearly drifts his way around the end of sector 2, and I'll just compare it to the previous laps. 1:55 was his first full lap out of the pits, then a 1:48, and yeah, he's about a second faster than he was on the intermediates here, so he might get the fastest lap, and might obviously get himself a nice little bonus point associated with that. It didn't really work out for him, but it is worth a try when you're a long way round, and Schiaparelli, 700ths of a second, nearly all of his own doing there. He got the best start of the race, he got a fantastic start, and just controlled it from there.
Yeah, Schiaparelli really controlled that race. We're going to have the top 3 interviews in, of course. But Driver of the Day, awarded by the fans within the game, is Carlsbury. And I think he might deserve that, to be honest. Joran, by the way, did get that fastest lap point right at the death. But it is the German Schiaparelli who does take us to the top step of the podium here in China. And he defeats the current champion, Medium Pilot, out on track.
Yeah, fantastic. Medium Pilot getting the win on track last time. Penalties dropping him down. Qualified on pole here, just a bit too much wheel spin. Bit too much wheel spin off the start, and he put Schiaparelli under a lot of pressure before that safety car came out for Twitch Lemon's absolutely enormous crash. After the safety car came in, though, Schiaparelli got a good restart. We thought Medium Pilot was going to get him on a slightly better strategy. Wasn't to be in the end, and I think just going down, yeah, Yarham fastest lap of the race by about 1.5 seconds on that final lap.
Great stuff from Yarham, but it is Schiaparelli who takes the win out on track. Medium Pilot finishing in second. Have you ever seen a closer finish at China than that? 700th of a second separating. Schiaparelli wins. Medium Pilot second. Papetin in third. Carlsbury in fourth with M Short in fifth. Quicksilver in sixth. Bianchi in seventh. Varkey in eighth with Vienna in ninth. Neo down in 10th. Really recovered well, actually, in terms of the points in the end. Imadi in 11th, with Venom in 12th, Wesker 13th, Cagigno 14th. There is Joram's fastest lap of the race. He set up by about 1.5 seconds compared to Medium Pilot, who had the fastest lap of the race. So he steals the final point off him. Rostro across the line in 16th. Yassin did not cross the line as a human car. He will not pick up the points for 17th. Legend, who had a disastrous race, as well as Twitch Lemon, both out of the race relatively early on. But I think it is now time for Luke to try and figure out how to work the party system, first of all, and try and get the interviewees in.
Oh, I love this party system. It's absolutely fantastic, isn't it? Since they updated it. But, you know, all's well that ends well. Let's try and get the top 3 in. Schiaparelli just admitted in the Discord that maybe he was a bit too confident towards the end. And it all nearly hinged on that DRS, of course, because Medium Pilot would have had it coming across the finish line. Fantastic race from Schiaparelli, just to control it as well as he did. At times, Medium Pilot was catching up 7-8 tenths of a second a lap, so I thought it'd be a foregone conclusion. In the end, he was able to hold on, and if that lap had been 30, if that race had been 30 laps, or even 29 laps instead of 28, that could have been very interesting to see what the drivers would have done.
Medium Pilot would have been ahead going into turn 1, I think. There's no doubt about that. Schiaparelli tried to weave coming across the line to try and break Medium Pilot's heart. He did eventually, and Schiaparelli, of course, wins out on track. We do go, though, to Spain next week, which is going to be fascinating out on track. And from China to Spain, they're relatively similar, I think, in terms of the drivers sometimes hate them. And Spain, you said earlier on, is a very good track to drive. Just what is it like for some of these drivers to drive around there?
It's quite a difficult track to overtake. It doesn't seem to have... The first sector I really enjoy. That seems to have a flow to it. And the middle sector, it's just that... Ever since they added that chicane, I think it was 2007 or 2008, it just seems to have lost a bit of flow in the final sector. Can be a killer for that front left tyre as well. Turn 3, turn 4, the incredibly fast right-hander. I think it might be turn 9 or 10 where Kovalainen had his big crash a few years ago, back in 2008. That really does put a lot of stress on those tyres, and we'll have to see how the drivers can cope. We said that would be a factor in the race here today, and it very nearly was at the end of the race just because of the conditions drying up.
Yeah, but the man that excelled with the conditions eventually drying up in the end, but excelling throughout the race is, of course, Schiaparelli, and he joins us now live in the commentary box. And Schiaparelli, how good does this sound? You are finally a race winner in TTML Division 1.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
It has really been a long time, and honestly, we normally watch your races and we get a sense of deja vu sometimes where we think you're going to have a bit of bad luck. But tonight, you were absolutely sensational out on track. Talk us through that race.
Yeah, I got him at the start, and I knew you can't really overtake in the rain, so I went for an undercut, so I knew he would be fast at the end, but it's very hard to overtake.
And you were saying in the Discord as well that you nearly got a little bit too cocky towards the end as well. I think 700ths of a second. I was thinking to myself, Medium Pilot might get you on the line here if you weren't being careful. But you didn't. Just express how it feels to finally be a race winner in Division 1.
Yeah, that gave me a heart attack there. Yeah, it feels good, especially against Medium Pilot because he's such a quick driver, and yeah.
He is, and he's the current champion as well coming into this season. Luke, any questions for Medium, for Schiaparelli? Goodness me.
Yeah, to be honest, I thought you ended up pitting a bit too early on lap 11. Was that because Jeff had told you that it was going to dry up at the end, or was it always the plan, once you saw the conditions, just to pit a bit earlier during your first stint?
It was always the plan, but I had like 70% at the end, and that wasn't the plan, but it worked, so yeah.
Yeah, it did work at the end as well. If that race had just been a couple of laps longer, were you tempted at any point to go for the soft tyres? Because we saw Joachim and I believe it was Rostro go for it, and it was only really that final lap of the race where they were the quicker tyres. At any point did you think that you might go in for the softs?
If it went like 3, 4, 5 laps longer, then yes, but no, I wasn't thinking of it.
Well, it was a great job today. Great to recover after a non-score in Bahrain, and congratulations on the victory. And that's all from me, James.
One last question for Schiaparelli before he does go. Spain next week. It is one of those tracks that I normally allude to as the drivers hating. How do you think you're going to get on around there? Because surely the momentum is going to build for next week.
Yeah, I've raced a lot in Spain on this game, so I'm quite confident, but it's not really a pad track, so we'll see.
We shall see indeed, and the only way everyone else can tune in, of course, is by tuning in next week. Schiaparelli, I'll go and let you enjoy your evening.
Thank you, mate.
You're very welcome. And that, of course, was Schiaparelli, our race winner in China. I'm not sure if we've got anybody else in the party. Judging by there's only 2 of us in the commentary box, means that there is nobody else here. But we can focus then on Spain, of course, next week. But with the weekly schedule now up and running once again, tomorrow night, we've got a treat for you because it is Esports Masters League tomorrow night. It is, of course, League 1 at 7 o'clock. Aidan Carter and Daniel Hoggard taking you through that one. And then at 8:30, it is either going to be the reunited myself and Luke Etheridge in the commentary box, or it is going to be myself and Kieran McGinley in the commentary box for you guys as Esports Masters League commentators for the Premier Division. Division 2 takes us to China, as well as Division 3 on Thursday night. That is, of course, at 8 PM UK time. Don't get confused, the clocks have gone back here in the UK, so just think of it, essentially, as it being 9 o'clock, but it's technically 8 o'clock. Yeah, you'll get what I mean if you think about it logically. Division 4 and Division 5 also are live on a Friday night, and that is, of course, going to be with Graham Chappell and Callboy for Division 4 and Division 5. It is myself and Daniel Hoggard taking you through that one as well. And then on, well, it'll be Monday, it'll be CWC for Malk, and he'll be taking you through that one on Monday, and then we do it all over again in Division 1. And Luke, you came in here, of course, filling in for Kieran McGinley tonight. Just in one word, who was your driver of the day?
Shapalele.
You heard it there first. You heard it there first. Shapalele, yeah, I've got to agree. I think Shapalele does deserve driver of the day as a result of his unbelievable drive, I think, out on track. It's one of the best races I've seen him drive for certain in my goodness knows how many years nearly of commentating with him. And it's fantastic to see him finally get a win and finally get a good bit of luck as well out on track. And of course, if you do follow him on a Saturday night as well when he's racing in League of Europe, you'll see how much bad luck he does actually have. And for him to get that race win, it's something of a personal goal, I think, for him, and it's fantastic to see. But we shall end the stream here. We want to let you get you guys off to bed and everything like that. So for myself and Luke Etheridge, thank you so much for tuning in to TTML Division 1 here tonight. Stay safe, stay protected as well, and we will see you once again next week for TTML Division 1. But until tomorrow night, the Esports Masters League, goodbye.